I am not an MMO player, since, you know, I'm not 40. And apparently there hasn't been a new MMO to really revolutionize the genre enough to bring in new generations of MMO players like myself since, well, World of Warcraft. Just to put that in perspective for all you boomers who played WoW Vanilla, World of Warcraft Vanilla was announced before I was born and released before I could walk. That is what it is. That doesn't mean that there haven't been good MMOs come out since then, which I could have played, or WoW expansions, which I could have jumped into, and I did. I remember playing World of Warcraft Cataclysm for the first time when I was 8 years old. As you might imagine, 8-year-old me had a little bit of trouble grasping some of the more intricate aspects of WoW, and unfortunately I never found a friend group within the game to play with and teach me. I have sunk a few hundred hours into this or that MMO, mainly WoW and BDO, but mostly I played solo, and as I understand it, the real enjoyment of these games, being that they are massively multiplayer online games, comes from the friends you meet along the way and the things you accomplish together. And even more so if you are present at the release of that MMO and attached to its lore and storyline. And then, unfortunately, once I was old enough to try out a lot of these MMOs for a couple hundred hours each, I was greeted by pay for convenience, pay for extra inventory space, pay for cosmetics that are 1,000 times cooler than the in-game achievable cosmetic items, pay for level boosts, and all of that just absolutely turned me off of the genre. I instead, due to the online friend groups I was in and my own interests, ended up sinking thousands of hours into survival games, mainly Escape from Tarkov and Rust, among others. So I sort of just missed the boat on MMOs, which is really unfortunate because I always wanted to dive into one. It's just that no singular one ever really deeply hooked me in. But thankfully for me and my fellow Zoomers, along with you poor MMO veterans, there is a new and better boat on the horizon, captained by the only man with the ambition, ability, and frankly, cash money to revolutionize not just the MMO genre, but possibly gaming as a whole. Now, these are lofty, borderline delusional statements from a young man who does not know the pain of backing Kickstarter MMO after Kickstarter MMO with the same disaster to happen over and over again. Nor have I sunk thousands of dollars into the AAA studio-released MMOs that are so heavily monetized, it sucks your life energy and, well, your wallet dry. But my young ignorance does not mean I cannot be so brimming with genuine and warranted excitement and hope that I would start making content covering a project that is years from release and even seen by some of the rightfully jaded aforementioned boomers from the current MMO community either as a total scam or Star Citizen 2.0, which, to be fair, is pretty much the same thing. Here is where I say something that, coming from someone like myself that is not even a hardcore MMO player, is going to sound like I am completely talking out of my ass. And to be fair, I kinda am. But I do believe what I'm about to say. I personally believe Ashes of Creation has the potential to be the best MMO ever. This is incredibly speculative at this early stage and will probably be received as a borderline delusional statement, especially from veterans of the genre who have been burned again and again in recent years. But fuel up your hopium tanks and look at things from this viewpoint for a moment. Let's assume Ashes releases with every aspect of the game that has been promised, completed, or close to it. This is not an insane assumption to make, and there is one very simple reason why. Although Ashes' scope of features and gameplay systems is larger and more ambitious than any MMO to date, very few of the ideas within that scope are totally new or revolutionary, requiring borderline impossible technical challenges like the aforementioned project not so affectionately known as Scam Citizen. Ashes' potential to be great comes from the fact that it is led by someone intelligent and competent enough to know trying to reinvent the wheel will only result in development hell no matter how well funded the project is. Stephen Sharif.
Alright everybody, I'm about to take 6 pies to the face.
the creative director of Intrepid Studios, the developers of Ashes of Creation. His plan is to take all of the best parts of every other existing MMO and combine them all into one. The reason he knows which ideas to incorporate and which to throw out is, well, he played most all of them, mostly putting his time into two games, Arcade and Lineage, which, as we will get to later in the video, is why Ashes is so focused on large-scale PvP events, although there is so much more to Ashes of Creation than just PvP. Stevens' story is one of a passionate gamer who invested a large chunk of his life into his favorite MMO, just for that game to decide to take an item integral to the in-game economy and add it to the real money cash shop, and destabilize things so much his entire guild, one by one, and eventually himself, quit. This is unfortunately the story of most MMOs in the past decade. Pay to win, pay for convenience, straight up purchasable in-game currency. This brings me to my first tangible point. Steven and the dev team have emphatically stated time and time again Ashes of Creation will have absolutely zero pay to win. It won't even have pay for convenience. The only monetization in Ashes comes from a monthly pay to play of $15 and a cash shop containing cosmetics only. And even the cash shop cosmetics will only be able to be applied to the same tier of item in game. So even if you have bought a cool looking armor set or mount, you will need to acquire a mount or armor of the same type or tier to apply those cosmetics. So you can't just buy all the coolest looking cosmetics and apply them on day one. Steven has also said many times in-game achievable cosmetics will be at least equal to or better looking than purchasable ones, thus not to fall into the BDO trap. But I do have many more thoughts on the cosmetic shop I will save for a later video. So Steven is a lifelong MMO player who is loaded with cash due to successes in business earlier in life, who has personally funded millions of dollars of his and his husband's money into this project, and seemingly has the brains to hire the right people and steer this ship in hopefully the right direction. This, in my mind, is the recipe for success. I say this because I have witnessed a very similar story, just one a little further along in its development. My channel is so small, I don't really know anything about my audience yet, but some of you, or many of you, may know of and play a game called Escape from Tarkov. Tarkov is a game I played the most, and I would describe it as a hardcore survival tactical shooter with very significant MMO aspects, such as a player-driven economy, dozens if not hundreds of hours worth of quests to do, or tasks as they are called in the game, level-based progression both on an overarching character level basis and an individual skill basis, so if you are using a specific weapon a lot, you will level it up and gain passive buffs when you use that weapon, and even new, more tactical looking and faster reload animations. If you sprint a lot, you will level your stamina up and be able to sprint longer, that kind of thing. There is a huge amount of these passive skills, these are just examples that came to mind. I have followed and played Tarkov for 6 years, since its early alpha phases when there was still a non-disclosure agreement on the game. The reason I am telling you all about Tarkov is that Tarkov's development studio, Battlestate Games, has a shockingly similar story to Intrepid Studios. Nikita Bayanov, Tarkov's creative director, was basically a gamer fed up with the genre of hardcore survival and tactical shooters, so he decided to do it better than anyone has ever done by far. Tarkov is a game with a level of intricacy and detail that is frankly leaps and bounds beyond other games in the genre like Rust, DayZ, Arma, and many others. Tarkov is not a game that tried to reinvent the wheel, but rather expand on all the best aspects of previous wheels, to make, well, the best damn wheel ever. Are we seeing more similarities between Tarkov and Ashes yet? Purely from the perspective of having such a massive scope of features and attention to detail, Tarkov is unmatched, and I hope one day Ashes will be talked about the same way. But Tarkov is also a game that has taken a fucking long time
to develop. Like I said, I have played it for 6 years. Back then, 6 years ago, any Tarkov player that has gotten into the game in the past couple years would laugh at how contentless, buggy, and just wonky and simple the game was. I remember watching streams of Tarkov on Twitch when there was one streamer in the Tarkov category, named Clean, or Cleanup Guy at the time. Tarkov today is still probably only half finished, and yet, as it stands today, is in my well-warranted view, the best shooter game ever created and one of the top games on Twitch, especially around wipe times, likely to stay that way for years to come. This success is due to a persistent dev team headed by a frustrated gamer wanting to push the envelope who genuinely cares about the game he is creating and the community that play it. Starting to see the similarities here? Another direct parallel between Tarkov's developers and Intrepid Studios is that both head developers of these projects, Steven and Nikita, often sit down and stream themselves on Twitch talking about development progress directly to their community. Nikita used to do this every month if I recall correctly, and now does a stream usually coinciding with a new update about to drop, even regularly bringing on prominent Escape from Tarkov content creators during these streams and hearing them out on their concerns and ideas their community have. This is particularly entertaining at times because English is Nikita's second language, being a native Russian speaker. Steven, on the other hand, sits down for an hour every single month with his head of community marketing, Margaret Crone, and they both talk about development progress that month along with answering questions from their official forum page. This kind of direct line of communication compared to most AAA studios is a dead giveaway that a development studio genuinely cares about their community and are not just corporate monetization factories, where actually making a good game comes second to squeezing as many shekels out of as many poor gamers' pockets that just want to game as possible. Here is where the divergence in Escape from Tarkov and Ashes comes. Tarkov has been in development for 10 years. That's right, 10 whole years, and it's still a ways away from completion. That might sound like development hell, but if you have ever played Tarkov for any significant period of time like me, you would know how much progress and innovation Tarkov really has achieved and continues to do so. But playing Tarkov for these years has taught me quality and innovation takes time. A lot of it. And it has also taught me most people are not as patient as me. Head over to Tarkov's Reddit or forums and, well, you can find out the rest for yourself. Ashes of Creation, on the other hand, has been in development for, I believe, 6 years. Now, obviously making a direct comparison is impossible, as both studios have different amounts of employees and different timelines of when they were hired, but I can say this. Ashes has been in development for less time than Tarkov, and it has a larger feature scope, quite substantially so. So in my mind, if we have to wait 3 more years, 5 more years, hell, even a decade for Ashes to really live up to the standards Intrepid want to achieve before fully releasing the game, then good. At least that's my opinion, and it's not like we will have to wait 10 years to play the game, even if it takes that long to fully finish. Ashes of Creation has an upcoming Alpha 2 likely to come out within the next 12 months, in my opinion, which will have persistent servers all the way up until launch, likely with, again, a very similar setup to Tarkov where there are almost expansion-like events as new updates are introduced. So no matter what, relatively soon, we who are dedicated enough to this project to stomach the large price tag for Alpha 2, or rather dumb enough to pay hundreds of dollars to test a buggy and unfinished product, we will not be empty-handed waiting in the wind for much longer. Bide your time, quell your hype, and do like a bear and hibernate until Alpha 2 comes out if that's what you have to do to get through this drought. There are more reasons why I think Ashes has the potential to be truly great than just it having a studio full of developers with experience from mainly old school but still highly regarded MMOs, a competent leader, lots of funding, and good design philosophies. The main reason I believe Ashes will be great is I think it will appeal to a wider audience than any previous MMO. This is simply because Ashes has a larger feature scope than any MMO to date. and they are not planning on killing the more casual-friendly aspects of the game, like artisan professions, you know, gathering, processing, and crafting, and making the only relevant content endgame raiding, like, well, certain MMOs that start with a W, have an of in the middle, and end with Warcraft. After all, the largest demographic out there are casual gamers. In fact, gathering, processing, and crafting professions will be just as important, because as stated by Steven many times, max level crafted legendary items will be on par with legendary items dropped from endgame PvE content. So for every spurg grinding the same boss for 16 hours straight with their guild of gigachads, there will be a crafter peacefully hammering away on their anvil or nurturing a rare mount egg to hatch that the spurg hired them for their master animal husbandry skills to do so. There is also far more casual friendly content planned for Ashes than just grinding the ever-living shit out of professions, which if done well can be fun, but hell, why do one fun thing when you've got a game full of fun things? Obviously all these systems I am about to state appeal to hardcore players too, but take note about how the barrier for entry is intentionally set to appeal to a wider variety of people. There will be so many moment-to-moment opt-in events happening that do not require you to be a gigachad to participate in and make a difference, like the PvE events where NPC factions will attack your home node, which is what the player cities in the game are called, and you and your fellow citizens will have to band together to defend it, creating a de facto sense of community with your fellow node citizens, even if you are an antisocial people hater like, well, me. The same goes for node sieges. Nodes are the centerpiece of Ashes of Creation, really. Other nodes can declare siege on yours, and as current design stands, anyone and everyone can participate. There is no player limit or requirement to join, so every last person will really matter when a node siege occurs. Caravans are the lifeblood of trade in the world, being that transporting resources to far-off nodes in different biomes than yours with different resources available will yield much higher sell prices. So you can imagine the world will be absolutely full of caravans transporting goods at any given time, and these caravans almost create open-world mobile battlegrounds that are another semi-casual friendly system. Anyone in the area as a caravan passes by will get a notification and have the option to ignore it, attack it, or help defend it, and ensure safe passage to its destination. If you attack it and successfully kill the defenders and destroy the caravan, you will be able to loot a large percentage of the resources within, and if you escort successfully, you will be paid a monetary reward. There is also many node-based progression paths that are very casual friendly, but if taken to their extremes can yield, well, extreme results. There are so-called social organizations such as Scholars Academy, Thieves Guild, and Traders Company, all providing progression paths through quests to achieve higher status and power within a given organization. These quests may consist of, for example, the Thieves Guild putting a bounty on a precious item belonging to another social organization, and the player that brings said item back is rewarded and gains reputation. There are also many different religions in the game which function similarly. Progress far enough in a given religion and you will even gain special holy abilities to use during node sieges. That is fucking awesome if you ask me, and religion is the thing I might just be most excited about in the game. I believe this game will appeal to a broader audience maybe even than WoW did back in the day. But now there are also reasons to think this won't be the case, like the fact that open world PvP will always be on, but there is a system in place to mitigate griefing I will cover in a future video. In fact, the most successful Ashes of Creation content creator by far currently has the opinion that this game will be niche, and unlike me has tens of thousands of hours sunk into playing MMOs, so his perspective is backed by years of experience. And it is a certainty Ashes' highest end content like 40-man raids, sieges for control over one of the 5 guild-controlled castles on the map, will be only experienced by a small fraction of the elite player base. But Steven has stated many times in dev updates one of their core beliefs is to keep content at all group sizes relevant is extremely important to them. There will be content designed for 8-man groups, 16, 40, and of course, single-player content will have its own place. Intrepid's hope is that they can give just as worthwhile rewards for content that requires less people to complete based on their performance. Every dungeon and similar PvE content at every group size will not be scaled to your level, but instead based on your speed of passing various stages of a dungeon or raid boss. For example, that boss will break out more mechanics and different abilities to match your skill level, and the better you perform, the better your rewards will be. So as I understand it, even single player or small group content can yield end game rewards if executed with extreme skill. Now of course, if you want to fight the raid boss that is the size of a skyscraper, yeah, you gotta join a guild. But it still stands, there will be content for everyone. Now at the end of the day, no matter how many fancy features and systems Ashes will have, and that is assuming all of these things make it into the actual game, remember, we are talking just about things that are planned to be in the game, none of this is actually here yet. If those features and systems don't interconnect well, and if the game does not have good fundamentals like smooth and great feeling combat, none of this will matter, and the game just won't be enjoyable to play. Thankfully, a little while ago in the official Ashes of Creation Discord, Steven let us know that combat will be shown in its fully revamped glory, hopefully, within a few months. The recent update where we got to see their seasons and weather tech, as well as the update a couple months ago where we got to see the character creator, were extremely promising, but in my mind, once that new combat is shown off, they have been working on for almost a year since Alpha 1 ended, is going to be the true test to see if Intrepid are capable of really pulling this off. Even though I am not much of an MMO player, I have always been deeply connected to fantasy. Really, nothing brings me as much joy in life as being truly taken into another world by the right TV show, movie, book, or game. I am close to finishing the 9th Witcher book right now, and I am not sure what the next fantasy universe I want to jump into is. So give me some suggestions in the comments. There will still be hopefully years more seasons of the Witcher show to watch, and the new season of The Boys just came out and the first few episodes are as gruesome and awesome as the previous few seasons, but superhero stuff isn't as enthralling to me as magic and monsters, so give me some ideas on a book or show I can jump into in the comments to pass the time until Alpha 2. For those of you so high on hopium, every word out of Steven's mouth sounds like a glimpse into the next fantasy universe you will bury yourself within and never look back. I truly hope we see that become a reality. But it is very, very important to remember if you put your expectations in the stars, you will be disappointed when Intrepid reach the moon. It's also very important to remember that I am a YouTuber, and my channel's success depends on me convincing you this game will achieve greatness, and at least 30% of what I say is purely speculative filler garbage I am half making up as we go. As, remember, we have literally seen like 3% of these systems Intrepid are promising between the technical alpha last year and gameplay footage from developer update streams. Don't expect the stars. Just be happy that there is something to look forward to on any level, and do your best to support it by advocating for your own opinions on how you want this game to turn out on the Ashes of Creation official forum and subreddit, as the developers regularly read both and are listening to us and making changes based on what we say. Case in point being the feedback the community gave on combat in Alpha 1 and how seriously the devs have taken that. God, I hope the revamped combat is good. Bye.